So let's talk a little bit about the reason it doesn't work. We'll probably do more on this in the future, but we're trying to talk about global force today, and we know that ultimately you were not successful
Yep.
in your attempt to acquire TNA or Impact as it was, and there's a rumor out at the time as to why that deal fell apart. That perhaps Mr. Carter had a request of Mr. Keith that he just didn't think he could honor. And I thought to myself, that sounds like wrestling nonsense. So, what really happened? Why didn't it happen?
At the end of the day, I think it comes down to the simple fact that Bob Carter had always been the alpha male and dictated his destiny. He knew all the water under the bridge. He also had, and look, at the end of the day, fear and uncertainty. I've been on all sides of it. Um, you know, what's the acronym for fear? False evidence appearing real. I believe Dixie wasn't sure, or shall I say, fearful of the unknown. If Toby gets control, what does my future look like? And under no uncertain terms, we let Bob and Janice and Dixie and the whole anybody. Our plans are to keep Dixie on board, but there are no guarantees that Jeff's going to stay on board. And Toby told them that if he don't run it the way I want it run, he's out. I mean, it was Toby was the lead horse. If Dixie doesn't do, I mean, he's a businessman. So he wasn't going to give that line of BS of, hey, this and that. But I absolutely believed every word that came out of his mouth is that we're going to get this thing rowing and everybody's going to row in the right direction or they will be off the boat. And we're going to get this thing back rolling and then some. So there was no, Dixie's got to stay on TV or this or that. I do believe at the end of the day, Dixie wanted to stay in control, and that was a non-starter. The biggest, and I'll kind of throw this out there, this is the story behind the story. They were attracted to having Toby as their partner, so much so that Toby called me and said, hey, Panda wants to come visit me at the golf course. And I mean, wants to come visit me in Oklahoma and have a meeting with me. I told them to meet me at the golf course at such and such day at this time that I'd meet with him. I'm just letting you know. I said, okay. And he said, just let it sit. But I just, as partners, I kind of want you to know, you got any feedback on it? And I'm like, oh, this is all brand new to me. I have no idea. You've got me single screen. I'd love to see Conrad's look on his face when I tell him this part of it. My delusional optimism really kicked in here because I'm thinking Panda's going to go up there. They don't want Jeff in the room, and they just want to have a good warm and fuzzy. And let's just see what our future looks like, and let's close this deal because the financials don't look good, and we got to get the nose up. And so Dixie's not involved in this meeting. It's Dallas folks, and they meet with Toby, and the meeting lasts about 10 minutes.
Oh,
hey, we'd like to have a conversation with you, and we'd really like to be partners with you and see a lot of strategic value and a lot of upside. But if there is a way to do this, to bring you on board and not include Jeff and let us stay as the lead horse, is there any kind of scenario we could work out? Toby got up and said, I've got a tea time. I really appreciate you guys coming up here to have a conversation. Thank you very much. Maybe there's an opportunity down the road. Kobe called me from somewhere between the clubhouse and the first tee and gave me that information as if he was regurgitating an in and out order. Hey, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. Hey, dude, I'll talk at you later. Bye. Okay.
So something you had worked on this entire time for months at this point came crumbling down in 10 minutes.
Again, I'm chuckling at myself now. We all live and learn, and what's happened in the past, it's completely water under the bridge. It all is what it is. I am tickled to death to be kicking the shit out of MJF. But the reality is, Conrad, I went into it thinking, all right, this is the final. We're going to push this ball across the finish line. How stupid am I, Conrad? Seriously, how stupid am I?
Well, as you may recall, there was a lot of wrestling rumor at the time that Toby was in, but he didn't want to leave Dixie as an on-screen character. And I thought that just sounds like wrestling stuff.
It was wrestling stuff.
The reality is the Carters were glad that you found a source for some cash and a life raft. Just wanted to make sure you weren't on board.
In the lead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Toby in the lead. Now I can kind of digest me because of kind of some personal issues. Forget the track record of the profitability, but maybe there's a personal dynamic. But Toby?
And to be clear, this was the scenario of not necessarily a full-blown acquisition, but let us buy in too. Not buy you out, but let us buy in.
You talking about me and Toby?
Yes.
It was 51-49 kind of scenario. I'm just giving that vernacular.
Yes. And do you think Toby would have entertained, we're going to buy the whole thing soup to nuts? Like not a piece, but all of it. Do you think Toby would have entertained that?
Look, and I used to chuckle in between cups of coffee. You know, there's a saying and there's a video. This is kind of a cornbread saying or not. But Conrad, have you heard, you only need to get rich once?
Yes.
Okay. Toby didn't need any more money by any stretch of the imagination.
He's all set. He's good.
Big time. Does he like wrestling? Sure. That has nothing to do with doing a business deal. He wanted the right deal structure. He always, whether it was buying a racehorse, a golf course, a tequila brand, a tour, a sponsorship, whatever, it's got to be the right business deal. He saw a real opportunity. Thank God, he believed in me wholeheartedly, and he wanted the right deal. He wanted the people who had pulled the wagon, the Carters, he wanted them to say, hey, here's the kind of deal we'd like to structure. And if it would have been, we pulled it this long and we want this much for all of it and we're out, he absolutely would have got into the negotiation game. Absolutely. He wanted, that's how, when I tell you, and this is where it's funny, we're almost 2 years and we're just not, the diplomacy that he used throughout that, Conrad, I learned a boatload. I really did.